Remember I told you that when I was 8 years old, my mom was killed out here. Well, that was in 1994. I guess I have to back up the story. My name is Singleton. I currently reside in Burbank, California. Okay, a typical day, I usually wake up probably around 7, anywhere between 7 and 9. I wake up, shower, eat breakfast, walk out of the door. Some days I'll go for a run before 9 o'clock. Okay, I guess I'll start from the beginning. I was born February 16th, 1986, in Manhattan, New York, to a single parent. My mom, Marie Singleton, her job caused us to travel a lot. So right after I was born in New York, we moved to Peru. We lived in Peru for 3 years, and then right after Peru, we lived in the Philippines. The Philippines is mainly where my memories start coming in, around 3 years old. I had a nanny, got my first dog, things like that. After the Philippines, around 5 or 6 years old, we moved out here to Los Angeles, California, and we were out here for a little bit until she met my stepfather. They got married, basically combining our family of 2 with his family of 3, and adding one more to the family, my little brother, who was born right after that. Good times for a little bit until tragedy struck when my mom was killed.
Kilo 27.4? Yes, I'd like to file a missing persons report. Okay, who's missing? Wife, her name is Marie Jackson.
Right after my mom died, I left California and I moved to Philadelphia. And I was raised in Philadelphia from then on, from when I was 8 years old until I was 17. Family members on my mom's side of the family. I never knew my dad until I was 20, so he wasn't part of the picture. So it was pretty much just me surviving in my mom's side of the family in Philly. Danielle is my son. I currently have 14. He's also the reason why I moved back to Los Angeles in the first place. But I guess I gotta start farther back in the story to get you there. When I first got to California, I found myself actually sleeping outside on the streets of Hollywood Boulevard. I didn't have my van yet, and I didn't have a place yet. So I guess I did with what a lot of people are now doing, and I slept outside. One of the spots that I used to sleep outside was right in front of McDonald's. I used to sit there and basically sleep until they would open. And the moment they would open, I'd go in there and buy me breakfast. Now, I wasn't homeless and not working. I was still working at the valet, so I had money to go in there and buy me food and buy me breakfast. But I hadn't found a place yet. Hollywood is a city that never sleeps. It's always something to do, and there's always some sort of nightlife or something going on. And it wasn't too bad out there for a little while. Eventually I got bored of it, but the view was something else. The lights were always on. The people were always walking down the street. The stars were always in their costumes. Hollywood really was a city that seemed like it never slept. I miss it a little bit. was a pretty cool experience. It was an experience I honestly can say I'm glad to have, but in the end, nothing beats having your own place, and more than anything, having your own bathroom. Like I told you, my mom's case was closed after a while. Like the time went by after her death where nobody did anything, and the case wasn't actually reopened until my freshman year in college when I got the summer internship. Freshman year, my summer internship, this was in Philadelphia on the East Coast, I got a job out here working for the Westin LAX, Starwood Hotel Company. That was 2004. My mom was killed in 1994. So 10 years later, I come out here for the summer internship. I had an aunt who was concerned about me because my whole family pretty much knew that my stepdad had killed my mom. They also knew how badly I wanted to see my little brother, who I hadn't seen since he was a baby. And given the fact that my little brother was being raised by my stepfather, they pretty much knew me well enough to know what I was going to do. So my aunt, after warning me to stay away from my stepfather and not go over there, not sleep over there, and stay over there, she knew I was going to do that anyway. She called the detectives and wanted to see how the case of my mom was doing. Well, she told them that I was also out here, and the detectives, a detective for the code case, it was a code case by now. After a while, when they're working on a case, when it gets put aside, it becomes a code case after a certain amount of years. It had been 10 years, and my mom's case was not considered a code case. They found out I was out here by my aunt, and they also found out that I had never been interviewed. Remember, after she died, I was taken from California from my grandma I was taken from California and basically sent to Philly. And I never got a chance to speak with any of the detectives or the cops about what had happened to my mom. So they decided to call me in for an interview and asked me if I had ever seen them argue or get into any sort of domestic disputes, and I did. One time. And I told them about the disputes. They never heard this before, and with my testimony on that, combined with other evidence, they finally had enough evidence to convict my stepfather. So the case was reopened, and prosecution started. Now, they had evidence, but they still needed a few more things, so that took some more time. This was in 2004, and it wasn't until 2007, during my time in the United States Marine Corps, until they locked up my stepfather. So it was 3 years after that year that they locked up my stepfather. And in 2009 or 2010, it was time for the trial to start. I think it was 2010. By now, I'm going to Philadelphia Biblical University, and I have to fly out to California to basically testify against my stepfather on my birthday. So that's one heck of a birthday gift, especially given the fact that I never believed that my stepfather had killed me. I seen them argue one time, but every other time besides that, it was a loving relationship. It was just like a lot of normal parents. I thought that my stepfather loved my mom. I knew my mom loved my stepfather. And he was the only father figure I had for the longest. So I actually didn't want to testify against them. I wanted them to prove to me the same way they'd have to prove to the jury that he killed my mom. And I actually refused to come out here. They subpoenaed me. I ripped up the subpoena and threw it away. And one day they came knocking on my door and arrested me in Philadelphia, put me on a plane in handcuffs, and made me come out here and promised them that I would come back and testify on the court date, or I'd have to stay in jail until then. And I did. So finally the day came when I had to come out and testify against my stepfather, and I flew out here. And I did. Testified against him, and I stayed out here in California for that weekend. That weekend, I was at a party with a friend of mine that I met while I was in the Marine Corps, and it was a female friend. We were pretty close, but we weren't, together. And she introduced me to Danielle at the party. And Danielle was an interesting character. She loved to dance, she loved to party. She dressed really unique. Like, you don't. I don't know how to really describe this girl. Like, she was a unique character. She really caught my eye. And we hit it off. We had a good conversation, good talking. And when I came back to Philly, we decided to keep in touch. So, we exchanged numbers, exchanged Skype information, and over the next year, we were Skyping and we were talking. The next summer, after that, I think this was 2010 or 2011. While we were talking, she became homeless out here in California. I had just gotten my own apartment, fully furnished, after a long summer of working for all the stuff that I had in my apartment. And we decided to have her come out here to Philadelphia. And we were going to try to, make it work, try to create a family together. Both of us came from broken families, and it is what both of us had wanted. So she came out here, started living together. But it became difficult after that. There's only so much you can learn about each other from long distance relationships, especially when you're only communicating over a period of a year long distance wise. And basically it didn't work out between us. But during her time in Philadelphia, by New Year's, she got pregnant. We were in a pretty tough spot. Both decided that obviously keep the baby. An abortion. Some couples justify abortion. Others we just couldn't. And I talked to her about adoption. By this point in the stage, we realized we weren't going to stay together. We knew that our son wasn't going to, or our kid, because we didn't know what the sex of the kid was, he wasn't going to have both of his parents together. I wanted him to have both two parents, but she was pretty convinced that she could do it on her own. And she said there was no way anybody was going to take her child from her. So she left Philadelphia and went to go stay in Tennessee with her mom's side of the family, instead of coming back to California, because there's nothing out here but trouble in California, and she was about to be a new mom. Best thing for her to do is to go stay with her mom and family and get ready for the new role that she was about to take on. I just remember seeing him for the first time and realizing that I'm going to be a dad. Realizing that I am a dad. Me and Danielle aren't together right now. And my son is actually currently he's in foster care right now. And it's hard, because we're both fighting for him to get him out of there. It's what I wanted. I Sometimes I think maybe he'll be better off in foster care. That they'll put him with a family that knows how to be a family, with a mom and a father, love each other, married, teach him, set him the example, basically be role models for the kind of man that he should grow up to become and the kind of family he should prepare to care for. I love him. I know in the end it's all stuff that God wants for me anyway. And I trust God. And I know it's going to be worth it. So I keep fighting. I can't wait till the day I get him back. You know? I'll do whatever I have to get him back. I guess that's the day I'm longing for, is holding my son back in my arms. So until then, keep fighting. You know, I make the sacrifices that love calls for, and I just trust God. Wait on Him. And now I'm here. Not done yet, but still walking.